What up, all my fight fans? Let's talk about this past weekend of fights, shall we? We had Henry Cejudo taking on Song Yadong, or Yadong Song. Forgive me if I'm saying that name incorrectly. Unfortunately, the fight did not go as planned. The fight did not really live up to what we wanted. Just due to the fact that Song Yadong was pretty much winning the fight throughout the rounds and such like that. I believe it went up to the third round where an unfortunate incident happened. He got accidentally eye poked. I'm talking about Henry Cejudo, and he was not able to continue because he was not able to see. I believe he has something torn retina or something in the corner of his eye, if I remember correctly. And yeah, he was not able to really fall through with the rest of the fight, and the fight went to the judges' scorecards, and Yadong won. Song Yadong won, and he got the victory. Well, as far as Henry Cejudo goes, what do we got to say about that? I mean, he looked decent. He didn't look too bad. He had some time off, and his last fight was against Merab. And, we all know Merab pretty much beat him very, very handily and very easily. So, we got to say, what's next for Henry Cejudo? Well, I know there's a possibility that maybe there might be a rematch, but this is his third loss in a row, I believe it is. He did go against Aljamain Sterling, lost. Merab, he lost. And then Yadong, just recently, he lost. So, things are not looking very, very good for Henry Cejudo within the bantamweight division. And, it's a very tough division. The bantamweights are always been tough. It's always been super difficult and challenging. You always want to really want to know if you're in your A game, on your A game, I should say, regarding that division, because I believe it's one of the toughest ones, if not the toughest. There's all kinds of stars in there. There's a few fights he could possibly have in there if he really wants to. If he's trying to look for a title, I'm not sure if it's in the picture for him anymore. I mean, we saw what he was able to do. We saw what happened with him against Merab. Aljamain's not in the division no more, so there's no problem there. He still could potentially go against a Peter Yan, could potentially go against a Corey Sandhagen, and potentially go against a Sean O'Malley. That's all. All those are possibilities. All those are possibilities. But do I see him potentially become a champion again? I don't know. I really don't. Honestly, I really don't. I believe he kind of messed things up for himself after beating Dominic Cruz when he was the champion of the world, and not fulfilling his championship duties, where he could have continued to becoming champion, continued reigning as champion, and fighting all the upper elite guys and making money. I don't know. I'm not sure what exactly he decided to do at that point. I think he decided just to retire and said he felt like he did what he did. He did. He did his job. He felt like he did enough in the company. But then he decided to come back. Well, that's the thing. When you are in your 30s and you decide to retire for 3 years, that's a big jump, and when you're a heavyweight, it's a different story. Your last thing to go is your power. But when you're in your 30s, you have that small window where you can keep your speed, keep your reflexes, keep your hand, keep all that stuff you had once you were champion. But once you leave and then you don't come back anymore, well, then I'm sorry, but that's it. That's it. That's all she wrote. You can't really do any much anymore after you come back and leave for so long. So I don't know. I personally feel like he messed things up for himself by doing that. I would love for him to come back. I would love for him to go to flyweight. That's my personal opinion. Now I know it's a little bit more difficult. I know that you don't want to cut that weight, and you don't really want to put your body through that anymore. I get that to that certain aspect, but I feel like the just time went on without him, and everything got more difficult within the other divisions, within the bantamweight division. So I feel like it's going to be a lot more tougher for Henry Cejudo to get back in there. Song, he's actually going to make a name for himself. It's a big name, a big win for him, and he could potentially go against someone else's like Rob Fonts, like again the Sean O'Malley's, the Corey Sandhagens. There's a lot of great options for him, and I'm sure he can make his way up the ladder. You never know, but hey, it is what it is. Bantamweight's always exciting. Also, on a different part of the country, you had a boxing fight. You had the rematch between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. This fight was actually a lot better the second time around. The first fight, it felt like these guys were so tentative. These guys didn't really know what to do. These guys maybe felt like the pressure was on them. These guys felt like they You know, they were both going in there undefeated, and not one of them really want to take that chance of potentially losing that. Oh, well, we all know Dimitri Bivol ended up losing. A lot of people feel like Dimitri Bivol should have won that fight, but nonetheless, the second fight comes around, and these guys really left it all in the ring. You had Artur Beterbiev really putting the pressure on, really going after Dimitri Bivol, and Dimitri Bivol letting go of his hands a lot more, letting loose with his combinations a lot more, and willing to take chances a lot more. So it actually was a really good fight, a really close fight again, but I feel like at the end of the day, the one that edged it all was Dimitri Bivol, just due to the fact that he's let his hands all go a lot more. I do feel like it still could have gone possibly to Artur Beterbiev, just due to the fact that we've seen the cut in his face of Dimitri Bivol, where, you know, he was a little bit more busted up than Artur Beterbiev. Artur Beterbiev looked a little bit more fresher, so I would have been too mad if it went to Beterbiev. I'm just gonna say Beterbiev, Jesus. I wouldn't have been too mad if it just went to Beterbiev. But at the end of the day, Dimitri Bivol did get the nod. He did get the victory, and now they're both one apiece. So again, the light heavyweight right now is stacked. The light heavyweight division is actually very exciting. So we do not know what's going to be next, but we do know what we want next. And what we want next is David Benavidez. David Benavidez and Dimitri Bivol. I know these guys are one apiece, and a third fight should happen, but I feel like that third fight ain't going to go nowhere. I feel like let these guys change up a little bit, fight somebody else for right now, and then let the third fight come sometime next year, or maybe at the end of this year. You know, if these guys are willing to fight 3 times, you know, because we know David Benavidez just fought, I believe it was February 1st against David Morrell. Great fight. You know, David Benavidez looked a lot better than his first time around light heavyweight, way better. So I'm actually very excited to see him participate more. It's going to be a very challenging fight. I know these guys sparred, but come on, again, we all heard this saying, it's just practice, guys, just practice. But I would love to see this fight happen. I know he's also talking about facing Canelo, but I don't want to see that fight again. You know, he pretty much put a beating on Canelo. Canelo is busy with Terrence Crawford potentially in September. I know he has another fight coming up in May. I feel like Canelo Alvarez needs to stay at the super middleweights. If he ever fights somebody else at light heavyweight, excuse me, guys, he needs to fight David Benavidez. Which could potentially happen, guys. Could potentially happen, because right now you got Dimitri Bivol and potentially David Benavidez. Dimitri Bivol is the undisputed champion of the world in the light heavyweight division. Holds all the belts, all of them. So if David Benavidez can actually get past him, if David Benavidez becomes the champion of the world, then maybe Canelo Alvarez will go up, and he could go and try to accomplish becoming another undisputed king at the light heavyweight and finally get that David Benavidez fight with Canelo. A lot of moving parts, I know, but I can see it potentially happening down the line. But nonetheless, I would love David Benavidez to get the next title shot right now. And I would not mind later on down the line to see a part 3 between those two, Beterbiev and Bivol. 100%. Well, there you have it, guys. Check it out, the highlights on YouTube. Check it out if you got any kind of way you can watch the fights. They both, the boxing fight was really good. The Henry Cejudo fight was decent. It's not too bad. You can see that eye poke, see what I'm talking about. So go ahead, check it out, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.